Welcome to the Big 12 Insiders, your Big 12 sports show. Here's your host, Brian Hanley.
Hey, everybody, what's going on? This is your man, Big B, Brian Hanley. Welcome back to Big 12 Insiders. Appreciate everybody being in here. We are getting closer and closer to football, ladies and gentlemen. This is the last day of July. It is still the dog days of summer. Lord have mercy. It is just burning hot all over the country. But for the most part, either camps have already opened or are about to open. It's football time. It's getting to be that time of year, ladies and gentlemen. And I, for one, am super excited. Tired of talking about, the rumors and all that kind of nonsense, man. I'm just ready to start talking about real football. And we are getting ever so close to just talking about football within the Big 12 conference. So appreciate you guys being in here today, man. We got a good show for you. Talking about three teams in the Big 12 that are going to have a bounce back season. Now, one of those teams isn't necessarily a bounce back because I don't think a lot of people thought they were going to be that good the previous year, but I think it's a team that's going to take a leap forward in 2025. But the other two are definitely bounce back teams. So we're going to discuss all that today. But before we do, again, as always, ladies and gentlemen, remember to like, follow, subscribe, continue to get in the comments section. I absolutely appreciate you guys getting in the comments section, and always hit the notification bell. This is real important. So you always know when Big 12 Insiders content comes out. So without further ado, let's kind of get into this thing. So first up is one of the teams and that's going to have a bounce back season, and I'll put up the little logo here, is the Kansas Jayhawks. I think Kansas is going to have – look, I think anybody that watched college football last year expected Kansas to have a good season, and it fell apart, and it fell apart pretty early. It just didn't click with Jalen Daniels, their quarterback. It did not click with him and a new offensive coordinator. It was a disaster. to quite honestly put it, it was a disaster. Too many times, and we kept saying it on here, and basically every KU fan, look, we don't always get along, but KU fans, they all agreed. It's like, why aren't you running the football more when the run is being very successful? Like, why do you continuously put this kid in a situation where if you can just keep running it, just keep doing it? Because whatever the case may be, he's turning the football over and it's costing you football games. They never learned. They never learned until it was too late, I should say. But I don't suspect that to be the case this year. Look, Jalen Daniels returns. He's got a ton of confidence in his ability, but I think the reason he's got a ton of confidence is because KU got a new offensive coordinator, Jim Zabrowski. He's familiar with Daniels. He's his quarterback coach. He's worked with him every year, so he's familiar with him. I think it's going to be a world of difference, and I think he's going to have a bounce-back year. One of the things is I don't believe that they're going to, I shouldn't say make, but it was almost like they were forcing Jalen Daniels to play hero ball. Or maybe he took it upon himself to do it, thought that maybe I can fit balls in places where he couldn't, trying to force the action. I think they're going to teach him you don't need to force the action. You got enough athletic ability. Just keep getting first downs. Just keep getting first downs. Or if it's not there, punt the football. It's okay to punt the football sometimes, and versus turning the football over. So I think that's some of the things. He'll be more comfortable. I think the offense will be more comfortable. Just a familiarity with somebody that you worked with in a position group every single day. Now, you look at the win total for KU, 7.5. Going to be tough. I'll be honest with you. 7.5. That's tough. You start looking at their schedule. I mean, they got a couple laughers early. We think. I don't know how good Fresno's going to be. Fresno State, I should say. We just don't know. They've beaten some people in the past. It's not a terrible program, but I think, look, if KU's going to have the kind of season that they want to have, they got to be able to beat Fresno State. I think one of the things that a lot of people is not talking about, and I tried to poo-poo it off last year, and maybe I was wrong for that, is they have a home stadium this year. And I tried to say last year, look, man, these kids, they're going to play in Arrowhead Stadium. Their fans are going to be excited to go there. It didn't turn out to be that way. It literally didn't. You went to KU games last year. The games that were there were a few of those games. No, the KU fans didn't show up like I thought they would. And one in particular, the Iowa State game, there were more Iowa State fans there than there were KU fans. So it just wasn't a home field advantage. They're going to have one this year. I'm excited to see what that new stadium looks like, but that means something. Like I said, I think I tried to poo-poo it off last year, thinking that the kids and fans would be more excited about playing in the Kansas City Chiefs Stadium, when in actuality, having a home field advantage meant more than going to play, in an NFL stadium. I was wrong. I can admit I was wrong. I just thought it would be something kids look forward to, and maybe they did. They just didn't perform that way. You'll always perform better at home. At least you should. So that's something that they're going to be able to look forward to this year. But you start looking at that schedule, it's not easy. It's not easy. Could they be staring 5-1 in the face, though? If they play their cards right, yes, because those two games, like I said, that they should win. Then they go to Missouri. They haven't played Missouri since 2011. You can blame both sides on why they didn't want to play each other when Missouri went to the SEC. I think it was more Kansas being pissed off that they would leave. But I thought there was a way that they could have continued to keep playing, but they didn't. I mean, they had played like 120 years or something in a row, something crazy, or at least 120 matchups. But whatever the case may be, they're playing this year, pivotal game at Missouri. But then you start looking after that, there's an opportunity. You just look at their schedule, they could be staring 5-1 at the face, and then you think, okay, what's left? Well, it's tough. It's tough. I'm going to take under as far as the Jayhawks, the 7.5 win total, but only because I think they're going to win 7 games. I don't think they're going to be below that. I think this is a big bounce back year for Kansas. And could it be more? Absolutely. But the 7.5, you just kind of look at it and I'm like, give me 7 wins for them. And you might say, well, that's not that big of a bounce back. Well, 5-7 when you're predicted to win 9 football games, and then you come back and you only win 5, and then all of a sudden you come back and you win 7. Yeah, because here's the thing about KU, and the fans will tell you, it can spiral pretty quickly when it starts going downhill for that football program. They may get mad at me for saying that, but they know I'm telling the truth. It can go downhill pretty quickly. Now, you could say, hey, things are different, got a different coach, different mindset. I believe all of that, which is why I'm saying they're going to win 7 games. But they got to get off to a good start, because if it starts to spiral, who knows what's going to happen in that locker room? Who the hell knows what's going to happen in that locker room? So, but as far as the win total, I give them 7.5 or 7 wins on a 7.5 at Vegas. Always throwing that half in there. Always throwing it in there. But that's the first bounce back team in the Big 12 for me this year. Now, the next one, again, I mentioned to you at the top, not necessarily a bounce back team because they weren't good a lot last year. Well, and maybe you say, okay, well, they're bouncing back, but they haven't been great. But I think they're going to be a decent football team this year, which is Houston. Look, I'm never going to shy away from telling you guys how much I think and how good I think of a coach Willie Fritz is. I think he's outstanding. And I think we saw a lot of that last year. First off, the man is a program builder. Everywhere he's been, he's taken over bad situations and he's built that program. Houston, no different. Absolutely no different. And they've got an opportunity to do some things that maybe some teams don't do. Now, here's the thing. Last year, for the last several years, they've had just horrendous quarterback play. Just bad quarterback play. And Connor Wegman comes in there, big-time recruit, goes to A&M, had some success. The problem was he just couldn't stay healthy. Transfers to Houston. If he can stay healthy, he stabilizes that quarterback position for Houston, which is basically what they've needed. I mean, you can count the years, but that's what they have needed for the last, I don't know, whatever. But that's what they need. Stabilize quarterback play. Because the one thing that we know is that they're going to bring a defense. Is that Houston's going to bring a defense as bad as their quarterback play was last year. And they couldn't stay on the football field and turning the ball over. The offense was horrendous. They were fourth best in points in the Big 12 last year, and they were second in yards allowed. So they brought a defense, and that's the one thing about Willie Fritz. You know his team is going to bring a defense. Well, if they're going to do that, which I suspect, I don't know if they'll still have the same lofty numbers, but I think they're going to have a good defense. That's his thing. And if they can get just stabilized quarterback play, you didn't hear me say great. You didn't even hear me say good. I just said stabilized, some competent quarterback play. If they can get that, I don't know. It's going to be, who knows where they'll go with the team. Now, the talent level may not be as high as other places, but it's getting better. We told you it's going to continue to get better. And he got out some of the stuff that people weren't bought in. The first year, he had to deal with some of that. He didn't have to deal with any of that in his second year. He got those guys out, brought in other guys, bought into the system. Houston's going to be a tough out if they can get the stabilized quarterback play, which I suspect that they're going to do. Biggest game for me, maybe not of the season, but the early part of the season, the game against Colorado on ESPN. It's at home. They can win that. They should be able to start 3-0. Their schedule is not impossible. Win total 6.5. I'm going over. I see 6. I just see 6 wins on their schedule right off the bat. You just look at their schedule and you say, okay, I can see 6 wins here. Well, the one thing that Willie Fritz is going to do, that this Houston team and Willie Fritz is going to do it, they're going to beat somebody that nobody thinks they're going to beat. They don't usually lose to teams that they're not supposed to lose to. They don't do that, but they always beat somebody, always, that you don't think they're going to beat. They did it last year against Kansas State. And one of the reasons why, now Kansas State fans will point to, well, it was raining, and hey, man, Houston played in the rain too. And somehow they figured out how to score more points than you. Can't use that as an excuse. Bottom line is their defense is going to stop somebody from being able to score points and move the football in a game where you think, oh, this team should be able to move the football. They're not going to do it. They're not going to be able to. And Houston's going to score enough points to win that football game, just like I mentioned at Kansas State. Now, you can give me the excuses that, well, it was raining, it was bad. Hey, I don't want to hear it. Everybody played in the same situation. And that's the same thing that's going to happen to a team this year. They're not going to be able to move the football against Houston. They're going to turn it over a couple of times in their own end, and Houston's going to be able to capitalize, and they'll beat somebody that we don't believe that they should or could beat. So the 6.5 win total, I'm going over, because I think they got 6 wins. Just looking at their schedule, I think they got 6, and I think they're going to upset somebody. So I think they are a 7-5 football team. I don't think it's going to be higher than that, but a 7-5 football team this year. Houston is a program to keep your eye on, people. I'm just telling you. I'm telling you. Watch out for them in the next coming seasons, because they're going to get it together. The talent is going to continue to just roll in there. Alumni has started to get back, to get behind it. And Houston is going to be somebody that you're going to have to deal with, ladies and gentlemen, in the coming season. Now, for the last team, Utah. Look, I've been on them all off season as a team to watch. I've been on them as a team that should have a bounce back year. I've also been on them as a team that fell flat on their face last year, just literally fell flat on their face. And for whatever reason, whatever the reason being, but it happened. And I think we all know what the reason was. I mean, it's no surprise that quarterback play was atrocious. Just flat out atrocious. And here's the thing. I've said that several times. There's not a Utah fan out there that has argued or tell you any different, because they get it. Utah fans are smart. They understand what the problem was. Well, what did they do? They went out and it seemingly solved the problem. They bring in a new coordinator. They bring in a new QB from the same school that offensive coordinator, Devin Dampier comes in. Jason Beck, offensive coordinator from New Mexico. And they're going to have a good offensive line. They're going to have a good offensive line. I mean, in my opinion, Utah might have the best offensive line in the country. If it's not the best, it's in the top 5. Hell, they got 2 guys. Left tackle, if he decides to come out, maybe a first rounder. In my opinion, they have the best player in the Big 12 as their right tackle. He might be the best player in the entire country. It might be the first pick in the damn draft. I'm just telling you, if they get, I just talked about Houston getting good quarterback play, or competent quarterback play. If Utah gets that, I mean, look out. Now, here's the thing about Dampier. He doesn't need to play hero ball. He doesn't have to come in and be the savior of the program. Utah doesn't need a savior. They just need somebody to come in and make plays. The one thing that I feel like he did at New Mexico last year, looking at his tape, is that it felt like he had to be, he was the offense, and he had to try to make every single play. And if he didn't, they were in trouble. You can't have 12 turnovers or interceptions in the Big 12 and think that you're going to have a good team this year. You're not going to win a whole lot of games throwing 12 interceptions, on the number of attempts that he had. That's just not going to work. It's not going to work. But I think that was a byproduct of him having to do so much. He's not going to have to do as much at Utah as what he did at New Mexico. And I don't even think they want him to. But another thing that he brings to the table, the man ran for over 1,100 yards. If in that element with that offensive line, the offense literally, the offense goes from pathetic to being scary in one season. I'm going to say that again. Utah's offense, if he can just play within himself, not do too much, and just bring what he brings to the table with that offensive line, their offense literally goes from pathetic to scary in one season. Transfer portal, baby. You love it, hate it, whatever. Transfer portal. That's what it can do for you. And here's the thing about Utah, though. Even with their offense being just absolutely pathetic last year, their defense wasn't. The defense absolutely was not pathetic. Here's what they were. They were second in points, third in yards allowed, and fourth against the run. So that defense brought it. Now, were they on the field a lot? Yeah. Did they wear down in some games? Yeah. But that's a byproduct of, like I just mentioned, being on the field all the time. And also, it's a byproduct of, and we see this even in professional football, but in college, it's even more of a thing of being demoralized, because that if you give up 17 points, you can't win. Well, 17 points isn't a lot of points. But you give up 17 points and you're like, man, we can't win this game. And because your offense can't score enough. That will demoralize a kid. It absolutely will. Because, like I mentioned, 17 points isn't a lot. Hell, what if one of those points comes on a special teams touchdown or a defensive touchdown? And you're out there playing defense, and you're like, and it's the second quarter, and it's 17 to whatever, and you're like, yeah, we have no chance to win because we know we can't score enough points, or we have to try to score points to win the game. That's demoralizing. That defense played its ass off last year in the face of tremendous adversity. So I give them kudos for that. As bad as their offense was, their defense was good when you compared the two. It was just as good as the offense was bad. 7.5 win total. I feel like Vegas is giving us one here. Every now and then Vegas will throw you a bone. 7.5. I'm like, come on, man. Look, maybe they know something, and they usually do, something that we all don't know. But I feel like 7.5, they're handing us one here. Now, I'll be honest with you. And I think anybody that's paid any attention, and I know Utah fans have, their schedule isn't easy. I mean, that damn schedule. I think that first game at UCLA is going to be a little tougher. It's tougher than what I anticipate because I don't think UCLA is going to be that good, but I know it's on the road. It's in the Rose Bowl, but it's not like Utah hasn't played in the Rose Bowl. They're not going to go there and be intimidated. I think the last time they played there, minus a bowl game just in a regular season, was 2022. So I don't think they're going to be intimidated by going to the Rose Bowl. Hell, if I think Utah fans could probably tell you this, or just college fans in general, there's probably going to be more Utah fans in the stands than there will be UCLA fans. UCLA fans aren't showing up to that. A lot more to do. Still the summertime in LA. Utah fans, we get to go to the UCLA or to Los Angeles, to the Rose Bowl? Yeah, we'll go to that football game. Love it. Love it. So you look at their schedule, UCLA, and then they've got a couple they can win. But when Big 12 season starts, I mean, here it comes early. Tech, first Big 12 game, right out of the gate. Right out of the gate, we're going to find out. But their slate is Tech, Arizona State, at BYU, at Baylor, Kansas State. Now, those games aren't all in a row except for the Arizona State and BYU. So just so we're clear, they got to play Arizona State, who most people are predicting to win the Big 12. You have to play them. Then the very next week, you have to come back and go to your rival. I mean, that's tough. That's tough. The only team that they miss in the Big 12 that people are predicting that have an opportunity to win the conference is Iowa State. So it's a tough schedule. But still, 7.5 win. I feel like that Vegas is giving us one because I'm taking the over. I think at a minimum they win 8 football games. At a minimum they win. Now, injury to the quarterback, that's a different conversation. And I know, I'm sorry, Utah fans, I don't even mean to put that out in the universe. I apologize. But, we saw it. It's not like we haven't seen it. But last couple of seasons, quarterback position at Utah has been a disaster. Just give them some competent quarterback play. I think 8 wins is a lock for Utah. It is a lock, in my opinion. So, but those are the teams that I believe in the Big 12 conference are going to have bounce back seasons. I'm excited for the season to get started. Like I mentioned at the top, man, I am just done with the rumor mill, and I just want to talk some football. I just want to talk some football, man, and it's getting here. It's getting real close to being in here. So appreciate you guys, man, as always. Remember, get in that comment section. Let me know what you think. And I know there's a team or two out there that probably got excluded that you thought should be on here. Let me know what you think. Let me know. So appreciate you guys. Remember to like and follow as always, and subscribe if you haven't already subscribed to the channel. Until next time, we'll talk to you soon.
Thank you for watching the Big 12 Insiders, your Big 12 sports show. This has been a Spirit Street production.